kind of like I think people like Michael Jackson. That's kind of a unique kind of character.
And I have
I love
You just see how games and possessions are more intense, how they mean more.
I'm not putting him on.
I think the U.S. is
Okay. Today's episode requires a bit of an epigraph to kind of set the mood. So I'm going to read this poem. I can relate to kids going straight to the league when they recognize that you've got what it takes to succeed. And that's around the time that your idols become your rivals. You make friends with Mike, but got to AI him for your survival. Damn. And this is the line that I really wanted to highlight. Damn, I swear sports and music are so synonymous because we want to be them and they want to be us.
Sports and music are so synonymous because we want to be them and they want to be us.
And that's from the poet Drizzy Drake. My name is Harry Krinsky. I am joined with confirmed millennial Patrick Redford. Patrick, how are you?
Doing great. Was this around the time when the bro thinks he's on the team graphic of Drake in like the Kentucky sweatsuit was coming out?
Great question, and I actually think we are going to sort of touch on some of the micro epochs of Drake's situation. But no, this is before. This is pre his first album that got like a 8.3 on Pitchfork or whatever. This is like he's mixtape era Drake. He's had just gotten off of Degrassi.
Okay.
So yeah.
So he really is sort of making his thesis statement of like, this is the level of fame I'm aspiring to.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
And that is how you get him several years later sitting next to, of course, prominent guy Trey Lyles in that Kentucky bro thinks he's on the team image.
Totally. And that was, you could say, because I think we've gotten to the fall and Pride comes before the fall. That was in the Pride era. He's suiting up. He's like bricking layups.
Was that the peak of his? No, this is not the peak of his career, but like, I remember how crazy it was that he was just like doing layup lines with it. Was it before a game too?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like Tony Romo pretending to sign for the Mavericks and like getting to pretend to be a player. Like actually getting the respect of like the owners enough to allow everyone involved to be so like, it would be so embarrassing if you were like actually on the team and then like you have to rebound Drake like bricking some stupid ass layup in the warm-ups. Like you would feel like, okay, the value of being a Kentucky basketball player, especially in that era, has been like, it might be cool, I don't know, but I feel like also I don't know, like it might be degrading. I could honestly see it going either way now that I think about it.
Yeah, I mean, it would be probably a bummer when he's like, hey, thanks, boss. Like, he has no idea who you are or what your name is. You know?
Like, if you're like the 14th man on the roster, it might be kind of cool because you're like, this is the peak of my basketball career. Like, I'm not going to the league.
Drake.
I'm going to go work for Deloitte in 2 years. Right. And like, now I have this photo of me dapping up Drake. Like, that's pretty cool.
I'm going to go engineer a Jonte Porter gambling a scheme with my basketball connections in a couple years. No, well, we'll get to that. I think it'll become clear why this Drake quote is sort of an important epigraph. What I do want to start with is off mic. You were telling me about some natural wine that you were consuming, and to me, that it makes perfect sense because some young millennial allegations have been thrown at you by one Ox Portello, the voice of the Zoomers, specifically around your opinions, the comments you made around one Lamello Ball. So I want to first give you the floor. Where are you at with Lamello Ball? Do you want to defend this piece? Do you want to defend your comments? Do you want to take him down?
I think in every sort of content universe, like the sort of one we're spinning up here, the real self-sustaining like nuclear fusion core at like, if we're doing a solar analogy, at the center of our sun here is like not so much us like having good takes, but creating like intra podcast beef where we can always go back to the well. Like the joke we always made about Barstool Sports was that like every actual thing they ever did was just like, Mike is mad at Mark again in The Office. And it's like so fucking stupid, but it's also infinitely sustainable. So I do appreciate Ock for starting this op to like give him something to blog about, me something to talk about. So just like all respect to the game out of the way. I would like to clarify. I popped off this tweet that he blogged about, and when Lamello threw it off the glass to himself, and Kevin Durant can be heard screaming, "What the fuck?" there,
right?
Which is like this perfect like Clash of Generations moment thing. This happened the same day that LeBron had that like crazy ass like running down the lane dunk as a 40-year-old
after he got back from Germany.
After he got like the illegal Kobe Bryant like stem cell platelet leg treatment thing. Yeah. And this really, I was making a point of contrast, but I just forgot to like include the LeBron clip in that. So I think that take is much stronger on its own. However, I will own the young millennial allegations. I find Lamello oftentimes a very thrilling watch, but then like that's mostly in a highlight context. Like anytime I watch a full game of him, it's like he's going 3 for 18 from 3, and half of these he's like running backwards and like dabbing while he's shooting these shots, and like he's like a good passer, but it always sort of feels like on accident. It's just so bizarre that like he is like gonna maybe start the All-Star game this year, and he's kind of still doing like Chino Hills, like high school 100 points in a game type shit. And I do wonder like what he could actually look like on a normal team. And like the fact that he's just been a Hornets lifer, it makes it sort of, it feels all like contextless and weightless in a way.
What's funny about Lamello is he has the contours, and if you like squint at Lamello, you see the makeup of a winning player. You see a big guard who passes a lot and can hit threes. Like those are the type of players. Passer. Yes, yeah. But then it's just he just doesn't have the like personality type of a winner. It kind of seems like everybody likes him too. It's not even that. It's just that he's not sort of interested in like earthly tribulations, like winning basketball games. He's more interested in like seeing how crazy he can get with it, or just sort of like perpetuating his kind of like pure id onto the basketball court.
Yeah, which is like kind of the Ock take too. Like,
yes,
his main beef was the way I conflated Zoomer and Nihilist, which like, again, I just popped this off in 10 seconds.
Right.
If I had to rethink that, I probably would. But like the general sort of the take is that like there's a clear-headedness that can be misread as nihilism because essentially younger people like understand the game is cooked, and that like that I am sort of the last bastion, or like my generation is this last bastion of like, oh, things should be better. Kind of like they get you to this ruthless efficiency min-maxing that like I think Ock correctly sees Lamello as like sort of in opposition to.
I was talking to a friend about Lamello, and I think that what we're really talking about here is this year, one of the subplots of the NBA has been Lamello in a good way, and I think you would agree. Of course, just he's been really fun, even if not effective, and maybe maddening. Like he's just been fun. And one of my friends texted in a group chat being like, "I have never seen anybody play basketball like Lamello," and I think at the heart of it, that is what in this whole conversation of is hyper skilledness, is this homogeneity of play good or bad, whatever, it is absolutely useful to be as kind of unique and transcendent as him. It's almost like how something is innately, when you see a take that is so stupid in a new kind of way, there is an element of like kind of artistic beauty in just how fucking like creating a new way to be stupid. I felt that way about The Idol, the TV show. Like it was like inventing new ways to be bad. So
there was this tweet going around this morning where someone they had this crazy AI bullshit image, and they captioned it as leaked photo of heaven, which I think is just like one of the most beautiful fucked up clauses that like hopefully the human brain is capable of conceiving. Like just leaked photo of heaven. It's the beautiful, beautiful thing. And when I think about Lamello, I do think that's basically the right read. Like, because even thinking about him within the frame of like, is he a winning player, feels like a kind of impossible question to answer. And then it sort of, I don't know, in my case, it makes me like question the premise a little bit of like, is this actually a thing that you can tell? And is like our idea of a winning player always just a sort of like form of confirmation bias? Like obviously he's not Jason Tatum, right. But like, and the things he can do in like the discrete possession to possession level do create these like windows of possibility that basically no one else can. And I think Ox sort of got to this is like there is a beauty in like realizing that like the parameters of the game as you see them can be expanded. And so as much as he annoys me, and honestly, if he just didn't have that stupid screaming Hornets announcer guy behind him, I would like him a lot more. But like contrast him with someone like Miles Bridges, who is just like a totally like a horrible person, bad guy, craziest still in the league, but also like sucks now.
Right.
Like he's totally declined. Like he's just ass. Whereas Lamello has been better than ever this year. And like, I don't know. All three Ball brothers are really up, I guess. Like
Totally.
LeVar exonerated.
I mean, yes, no doubt about it. And I think the thing that I am excited about, say it's nihilism, say it's like kind of like everything folding inward on itself and that somehow creating something new at the other end. I do think LaMelo is doing new stuff on the basketball court, which is fun. Like it is always fun when there are these innovative things that are going on. We talked about it last week with Evan Mobley's ability to like close out on corner threes. Like anytime the game shifts in a way where it's like, oh, we're now seeing a new thing. This is sort of like a Telian 0-1 situation. That's fun because people catch up and then there's innovation based on that innovation. But it's very rare that there are players as quirked up as him, and almost like LaMelo's innovation is how like zonked out he is. It's like how zooted he can be as the innovation.
Did you realize he's in his 5th season? I mean, a lot of that has been mangled by injuries, but it's very strange to think of him as someone who's like on his 2nd contract, like working his way to his 3rd, because it's like he still plays, like I said, like a 15-year-old, but the fact that it's effective is crazy. Also, I just looked this up. I want you to guess where he ranks on the Hornets in 3-point percentage.
Oh, God.
And he is taking 13.2 per game.
Oh, God.
That has to be pretty high up. I'm just going to check who's leading the league as you think about that.
I'm guessing I'm guessing there are 4 players on the team who shoot a higher percentage than him.
There are 8 players in the team who shoot a higher percentage than him.
Oh my God. Is like Mark Williams one of them?
It is not Mark Williams, but it's like pretty much everyone short of Vasilij Micic is hitting more, at least at a higher clip.
What is he shooting? Like 31%?
33.9%.
Okay.
But also like the thing about him that like also makes him super interesting is that like in the modern spaced out 5-out game, where we've talked about this a lot, defenses are good, whatever, is like I think the most important skill is shot creation. And he is so crazy off the bounce, and like say what you want, and we have, about throwing it off the glass and just like horrifying and shredding KD's millennial brain is like he did create a shot out of there. Like he's really good at breaking down the defense.
Yeah, a good shot too. Yeah, I mean, and there is also this other argument that I don't know that I wonder if there will be, because we see this all the time where players get built up and then they get broken down. Like I suspect an eventual dark side to the LaMelo argument that is basically like if he, almost like the Shaq argument, like if he just gave a shit for 18 months, he could be all NBA, but he won't because he's like a cooked zillennial, like no work ethic ass loser. Like that will be the kind of like boomer take, which I think has probably some truth to it. Like he doesn't buckle up that much on defense. He's not, he is, let me put it this way. He does not have a Mamba mentality.
Absolutely not.
But I'm like, that's okay. He would be my favorite player if I lived in Charlotte. Like I would grow up looking up to him. It would be easily if I was a young person in Charlotte, or even a young person.
Anytime the like jersey sale numbers get announced, it's always crazy. He's like so high, and every like nascent NBA fan who's like 13 or younger seems to love him. And I think what I like about LaMelo is that he challenges me in that, like, the type of player I like in my general scheme of basketball is like sort of an anti-authority. Like I think coaches are kind of bullshit. I like really don't like a lot of the GM worship stuff. Like really, I want like players expressing themselves and like doing beautiful, crazy things on the basketball court. And Lamello is great because he does that to an extent that like makes me sort of question those priors.
Right.
And so like learning to grapple with my sort of like instinctual, like I guess inherently reactionary kind of anti-Lamello stuff, like I think forces me to be a better, more empathetic basketball fan.
There you go. He's challenging you. Somebody who is
I'm going to put on Xavier So Based as my point right after this podcast ends. Get the Netspend discography bumping.
What you should put on, great transition, is so that new Gelo Ball joint. This, honestly, I don't even think this is a stretch to say that the story of the week coming out of the NBA was that Gelo Ball, former Chinese political prisoner and power forward for the Chino Hills team, released a song that was instantly viral and instantly like a meme, and then just today, one of the stupidest Woj bombs or Shams bombs I've ever seen.
Shams bombs, yeah.
Yeah, his Def Jam contract was released. When did you hear about this song "Tweaker" by Gelo Ball?
I feel like I first saw it when I don't remember I think it was the Cavs when some NBA team won and they posted a clip from their locker room of like everyone singing it, everyone knew it, and then like the next day on like then I think it was the Brooklyn Nets released like their social media thing where like the guys are walking down the hallway and like someone with a tiny mic asked them a question. And it was like, I might swear if I'm in that corner. And like 10 out of 13 people were like, whoa, like
right.
They just knew. And like, it like the thing that really shocked me, like, it's a good song. It's like, not that he could make the song. It's that like, it's that any song could spread that quickly across all of the sports world and gain the like instant approval of all of like the most like influential people in sports, basically.
That was my same takeaway. That it was similarly, I think it was Darius Garland being like, let's throw that new Gelo on or something, like that little soundbite. And then that leading to I saw it in the Lions locker room. I saw it. And then it just sort of like broke containment and was a meme and all of that. I totally agree that the most unique part was that how quickly and sort of how, I don't know. I mean, it's my read was that the players playing it were dabbling in a kind of like meta modern irony where they're like, this is funny, but it also kind of slaps, but it's also funny sort of thing. Like, and that is how everybody is kind of consuming it. Like they are, it is, knowing that it's Gelo Ball is part of what is making it a kind of funny song, and the catchiness of it helps. But like
totally,
I just the lightning quick speed was what was so spectacular to me.
Yeah, like this doesn't happen if it's not LiAngelo Ball, and like not because he is a good rapper, which like he seems like a good rapper,
right?
But like because of like who he is in particular, and it's like not just that he's a Ball brother, it's like LiAngelo specifically, and I can't really quite put my finger on exactly what that is. I wonder if it's sort of a sense of like this is a guy whose career is like there's like somewhat of a tragic bent to it.
Mm-hmm.
Not only did he survive like exile in Lithuania and imprisonment by the Xi Jinping regime, it's like he was like a G League cast-off guy. He like really, really grinded and like was at the fringes of the game. And like, despite having these like two rich and famous brothers and like one of the most notorious and now notoriously vindicated AIU dads of all time, like didn't find that career success despite trying like really, really hard for it. And I think there's a sort of element of respect of like, even if he didn't really work his way up, like in like whatever, like the rap version of like college basketball is, it's like he did put that time in and like really was like grinding for a long time. And maybe that like, because it's that, and because he's like part of this loose like fraternity of NBA players, like maybe those two things just made everyone instantly be like, this is cool.
Right. Yeah. I think, and it's probably like one of the few when you are a famous basketball player. I suspect that celebrity falls to the wayside a little bit, but like the ball. But if you're a 23-year-old NBA player, LiAngelo Ball was a celebrity to you when you were 14. You were like, holy shit, that's the Chino Hills kid who puts up like 75 on turnaround jumpers. The thing that I was thinking about that I got kind of like bigger picture about this was this. There is a long history of rap and basketball, which I brought up this funny Drake lyric. But even before that, there's Shaq and rapping, Kobe rapping the "Hey Kobe, tell me how my ass tastes."
Marquise Daniels rapping.
Mm-hmm. There was I learned about a Carlos Boozer and Twista rap song, which I had never heard.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, kind of
a classic Alaska-Chicago collab.
Exactly. Yes. But the kind of like the revolving door of this sort of like viral rap marketing and viral basketball marketing is so porous now that I like it was debuted and then it was immediately the next day playing in the Pistons arena. And to me that makes sense as this thing where it does seem like the basketball world in sort of like mimetic-y sort of post-SoundCloud world are operating in this same universe. Like they're all seeing very similar memes. They're all seeing similar whatever. And like this is kind of maybe what any basketball and internet savvy social media manager, like whoever is operating the House of Highlights Instagram account, what I'm talking about is what their Twitter feed looks like. But the for this to happen so quickly just shows that there is such a frictionless thing between emerging rap, I guess, or like emerging SoundCloud stuff and emerging basketball. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it is in the sense that like the modes of distribution are pretty similar. Like the way a lot of people consume, like, I hate to say this word, sports content is like they're on Instagram or whatever. Like they're looking at highlights. They're sort of catching these like fractured glimpses. And so like seeing like, Lonzo drops 12 assists in comeback game and then like seeing the next thing of like, here's the Tweaker debut, like those, you're going to come across those in the same way. And like, they're going to be promoted in sort of the same, like along the same channels by a lot of the same people. And so I think that like the frictionlessness there is like super interesting. And sort of like you said, like basketball and rap always kind of had this like basketball players, and it's basically just like, these are the two modes of like Black popular culture.
Yes, right.
And so like, it sort of makes sense and is interesting that like LiAngelo is popping right now as like rap is kind of having like its lowest ish, like least pop cultural impact at any point in the last like 20 or so years.
Right.
And that is kind of a throwback song. Like, I don't know exactly what to make of that, but it does feel, I don't know, connected. Yeah.
Well, and then there's this weird thing where it feels what you're saying about like, these are kind of the two extremely important kind of exports, like Black cultural, I don't know if exports is the exactly right word, but like pillars of Black culture. That would be the obvious explanation for why Shaquille O'Neal would start rapping in 1999. Now it's almost like it feels like the reason that Gelo Ball's rap song is popping off is less because of like this kind of innately Black culture thing, because hip hop has become gentrified essentially by the internet or parts of it. It's because of the algorithms are the same, which is this weird, like the algorithms are clearly an echo of an earlier, they didn't come out of nowhere that kind of like rap and basketball would have similar algorithmic, like would have algorithm synergy or whatever. But like that almost feels like that's what's the propulsive force is like the tech rather than the culture, which is maybe disappointing as I'm thinking about that.
Well, also like the Ball brothers are extremely popular. Like you said, like they like, I guess we sort of, the Lamello talk kind of gets to this where like a lot of them being successful, great NBA players does feel faintly surprising because of how hyped they were and like the ways in which they were hyped, like when they were coming up. Like it is kind of crazy that the meme guy 100-point high school scorer is like doing that at the NBA level.
Yeah.
And I think my sense is that like NBA players like them, like with Lonzo coming back from he hit 5 threes yesterday against the Kings, by the way. That was crazy. With like Lonzo and LaMelo, or like Lonzo coming back, LaMelo having a good year. I think like people want to see them succeed in a way that I find interesting, where like a lot of the like players are fans of them in the same way that fans are fans of them, I think, is my theory.
It's funny when you were saying this, like LaMelo, it occurred to me that LaMelo Ball is sort of the LeBron James of being a crazy basketball player. Like LeBron had been hyped at 18 as this generational player and still exceeded expectations. And LaMelo has done the same, except for being like a skitzed out basketball player. Yeah. He has managed to be actually more insane on the court than I was expecting that when I saw him as a 14-year-old, like putting up 92.
Do you remember Julian Newman?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, because there was some really sad clips of him going around playing like Division III ball and like going 0 for 17 from 3 and just like kind of doing the same stuff. And it's like this guy he's like 5'5".
Right.
Like, he's just not like a real basketball player. And I think because him and LaMelo were kind of coming up at the same time in the same way, it was like you basically that shows why a lot of this was bullshit. And it is kind of amazing that like in his case, in LaMelo's case, like the hype was so real. Like that's the LeBron comparison was super interesting.
I mean, even Zion is falling under the expectations of that he was going to be like fucking double slam dunking on kids the way he was in high school. So it's funny. The last kind of like half baked basketball thing that I was talking about, or that I wanted to bring up around this is because, you know, this sort of like rapid growth that this song had, it is totally of the internet, and it is totally of like it had an in-crowd propulsive boost. Like it was being, you know, pumped, so to speak, like but in a more earnest way, not like Haley Welch or whatever. And it made me think that I started thinking about how in the last 3 to 5 years, the NBA reference in rap songs, there is almost like a race to the bottom of who can come up with the most niche rap reference, which I think is amazing. Like I love that shit. You know, that's like I'm the audience there.
I remember when Rock Marciano shouted out Russell Westbrook in like 2012 or 2013 after he made a couple All-NBA teams. I remember thinking like, that's so fucking cool. Like basketblogs have made it. And it's like, now you're going to hear, you know, like John Brockman be shouted out in a song or something.
I have a few here that I want to read to you. As this LaMelo thing came on, another song across my timeline that I really liked or with a feature from somebody named Rilo Rodriguez, a growing phenomenon of a rapper who I have never heard of, who has like 10 billion streams. So shout out to Rilo Rodriguez. But the line was, I'm clutch like Rob Dillingham. Just
swag.
Like crazy.
That's so tight. Rob Dillingham has played like 15 NBA games.
It's like, but there is this. I don't want to say they're like becoming the same culture, but it feels like they're melding even more, and that the adhesive that is melding them together is the internet. That there's like this that it's not just that rappers. I mean, it's not just that NBA players will occasionally have a rap song. It's that an NBA player is going to have an extremely famous rap song, and it's not just that rappers are going to reference Michael Jordan. It's that they're going to reference like regular season basketball players because it's cool to know about random basketball players, which is just this like complete overlap that I would not have expected 15 years ago.
As long as no one says second apron in a song or like references per, I'm going to be happy.
Dude, Babytron is going to have a song called Second Apron.
The other thing, I mean, like cooking in the kitchen. All right, I shouldn't put that out there. But I was just thinking, Atlanta, like all the best rappers are from Atlanta. I want to hear what someone rhymes with risache. We got to get some Hawk stuff going here.
There's there's all kinds of. I mean, that's what another fun part about naming rapping about basketball players is they keep new guys keep coming along, new flows. All right, well that's the good. That's the Nothing But Respect rap corner.
I have an interesting. I was watching. I was watching TV and I saw the new Dame Adidas commercial where he's like in the studio wearing his Adidas and stuff. And I wonder sort of what you make of like the way that Dame is a rapper and like the way that he is like both simultaneously very respected, but also like not super successful. I think like everyone kind of regards him as like a technically proficient rapper who will never make a hit.
Yeah, he almost is taken the okay, this is gonna sound sort of mean to Dame, but his rapping to me is closer to the Player podcast thing, where it's like, yeah, I mean, look, dude, if you want to pay for Timbaland to like give you a beat that you can rap on, it's like fucking that's what I would do too if I had a pile of money.
Yeah,
like there's a element of. There is an element, and it's honestly the same thing with, and we'll get into the very charismatic Blake Griffin when he was doing comedy. Like there's an element of like that's nice that you're branching out and like trying something. It's almost like it's good that you have a hobby kind of thing. Yeah. Whereas this it feels more. There's a line in the great Alan Cesaro piece about. He reviewed it for passionofthewhites.com. He reviewed the Gelo thing, and it was a really wonderful piece.
Blog.
Yeah, honestly, about just like the history of the Ball brothers as cultural figures. Let me find the thing I'm looking for. It was basically like, in hindsight, it seems obvious that Gelo Ball would have a hit rap song, that is not true about Dame. That is true about Gelo Ball.
I wonder if like. Because Dame is a superstar, that makes it less likely that like his shit will break out. Like because he's already like achieved like basketball superstardom and fame, so I think people will always sort of regard it as like, oh, you're also a rapper. And like even if we said he is a good rapper, I think it's partially that and partially like the types of songs he's making and the way that he is a good rapper is like how you got famous like 20 years ago.
Yes.
And it's not that like Tweaker is like a bullshit TikTok song or whatever, but like there's like hooks in it and it has these kind of vaguely pop like aspirations. Like it's like fun to listen to and like is clearly made to be like fun in a way that like the Dame stuff is more like real lyrical kind of like.
And rapping. I mean, when you're that famous already, just as if he is taking Dame as a face value as an artist, like it is much harder to take creative risks when you are as rich and successful and established as Dame Lillard. Like, totally. I just don't think he's hopping on, like, he's not making, I took the walk to Poland. Like, he's just not, doesn't have that kind of, like, risk-taking in his bag. Whereas...
And also, like, he knows he's going to be, like, made fun of and put under pressure by, like, his peers and the national media if it's like, oh, he's focusing more on his rap career. Like, maybe being good is also, like, a sort of check on his own power in a way that, like, he doesn't want.
Right. Yeah. No, yeah. But definitely the Alan piece is really good.
Check it out.
Everybody give that a read. Actually, speaking of good reads, another blog I wanted to talk with you about was the two timelines piece that hit my one timeline. By I'm gonna butcher his name, but Alex Sakig, I think is how you pronounce it. At Thomas Awful on Twitter. The piece was called very salaciously, "The Two Timelines Never Died and It's Killing the Warriors," and it was, as you would expect, about the kind of this Lacob turn of phrase, two timelines that he now Lacob kind of denies, but is sort of like the pillar. It's sort of like the main word association with this like fledgling Warriors team who are entering like complete zombie barbecue chicken zone.
Things are bad.
Things are bad in Warriors world, and this piece hit at the right time. I want to give my Warriors this piece took me on an interesting journey because I initially was bumping on it. I was initially like 2 timeline thing again, like because and coming the reasoning being, I have found that a lot of the critiques of the Warriors dynasty have been from fans asking for too much, being like, we won in 2022. That's like, what more could we ask for? You can't win the championship every year, you know? And even from the perspective of like, okay, we is it that we lost because of this 2 timeline thing, or is it because we missed on James Wiseman and Moses Moody and Kuminga have been good but not great? Like that sort of seems like the more Occam's razory reason for why the Warriors are bad, rather than some sort of like VC hubris. But I found that as the piece was going on, I found Alex's larger take to be much more compelling, which is essentially posing the question of like, hey, we're here. The Curry era, we see the horizon of the Curry era, and it will be very interesting to see who has been dining on the Curry, like the Curry bump. So and it kind of jolted me out of my position of like, oh yeah, like I guess the Warriors were a laughingstock before Curry came, you know, and I guess he is the main variable. So I don't know. What were your initial reactions about this piece?
I think that is like that was fairly similar. Like the thing about 2 timelines that I've always found interesting is that like it exposes this tension between how Lacob thinks of the team and operates the team versus like how it is actually like run and operated, where like essentially the eternal hubris of Lacob is that he will always want to take credit. I mean, this is like the owner thing broadly, but like because he's more public and I think more publicly meddlesome than others because he had so much success so early, is that like his impulse will always be that it's not about Steph. It's like this infrastructure we built. It's about the organization and these things that go beyond like just having the greatest shooter of all time shoot a lot.
Right.
And like the ways that I think is false could damage the team forever, basically, because if Steph leaves and they just assume, you know, we can just reproduce this guy again, which I think is like kind of the crux of the 2 timelines thing.
Yes.
Is that like we are so good that like we're going to be the Spurs, and just by virtue of it being these guys being Warriors picks, like Moses Moody will be an all-star or whatever.
Right.
And like I think the general thesis that it is just Steph is like a totally interesting one.
Yeah. And I think it's the notion of I think if you're the final form of Lacob's hubris, he would say, well, we unlocked Steph. You know, Steph was a small guard before, and then like we turned him into the transcendent guard that he was. And I think Alex's point is well taken, which is like, are you sure about that? Like, did the Bulls unlock Jordan? Did the Spurs unlock Tim Duncan? Or was it like the history of the NBA points to it's more like there are these absolutely transcendent stars that completely change the landscape and bend will around them, and it is not the organization. It is certainly not the series of gentlemen supplying the checks that make the difference.
And this kind of gets back to something we talked about in this ep and something we talked about a couple months ago, which is that like it is the players who are like the ones that matter. And I think a lot of GM brain makes you think that like smart team management or like, I mean, ownership willing to spend money matters only to the extent that you get more and better players. But like, it is always going to be Steph, but like the way the game is metabolized, and because like of this just general like elite Ophelia and like wanting to make things more complicated than they are, like more people are going to get credit than actually deserve it.
Right.
And I think the thing that makes Steph, I think, such a transcendent and like amazing superstar is that like he is not an asshole. He's like not selfish. Like there's a version of him where he's like, I'm taking 50 shots a game, fuck you. But the version we have is the one that has like corralled Draymond into like coherence for like huge stretches of his career in a way that like if you have like a less organized and like I don't want to use the word holistic, but essentially a superstar who's good at everything, then like team chemistry becomes a problem in a way it hasn't. Like Steve Kerr's job security becomes a problem. Like Draymond is now suspended for 2/3 of every season for various bodily assaults. Right. And I think the essential mistake is Lacob thinking that's me, when really like even the non-basketball stuff that has gone well is like because of Steph.
Oh, absolutely. And even just down to like the guys, he sets the work ethic tone, and he sets the like, he is the reason, you know, all these things happen. I totally agree. I think when I am sitting around daydreaming about the like Steph is the best player of all time argument I'm going to make on like Ryan Russillo's podcast in 6 years, it hinges on the idea of Steph as a culture setter. It's the notion that we all hold, I think I've said this before, we hold LeBron, we are like, wow, LeBron dragged a dog shit Cavs team that he built to the finals, whereas like Steph doesn't get credit for being a guy that Kevin Durant won't play with, blah, 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 blah. This is the first time where I think in Steph's career, his incredible commitment to culture and to selflessness, despite how insanely great he is beginning to tarnish his legacy. Like if Steph, or I shouldn't say tarnish his legacy, if Seth is committed to like helping me win the GOAT argument, it would behoove him to go like, you know, demand a trade or demand that they sign Jimmy Butler tomorrow or whatever. I'm ultimately happy he's not doing that, but I just think this is the first time where we're seeing the downside of his more like demure or like selfless personality, of course, unless it comes to people obscuring his view with affordable housing. In that case, he does not play.
Because he's never really been one to like apply pressure upwards on the organization, has he? Like, no, I remember seeing this quote a few weeks ago where he was like, we're what the kids call mid. And that wasn't followed by like you shoot Brandon Pajemski in the head with a gun. That was like, well, you know, hopefully we're not mid for too much. Like there's sort of a like an overcorrection of selflessness, which I guess is sort of your point too. And like, I see that with someone like Wembanyama, who I think also needs to be more selfish, like on the court.
Right.
And I wonder if someone like Steph, like basically because they won playing like the quote unquote right way for so long, if that's like sort of this like his totalizing worldview now.
Yeah, and in a way, like, this is why sports are so fun. It's like, it does sort of feel like it feels like we're bumping into like his personality and his sort of like need for self-actualization a little bit, in the same way that LeBron has this like incredible will to power sort of that has defined and hamstrung him like his whole career. I don't see Steph demanding a trade. It would be like,
there's no way.
Yeah, it's the same way of like, I don't see LeBron ever not like trying to scheme to get D'Angelo Russell off his team. Like that's just like LeBron's gonna LeBron sort of.
God, LeBron hiring his co-podcaster.
It's awesome. To
become his coach, I think is like that, and the Bronny thing, I think have like weirdly been under discussed this season. Just because like, you know, if the general thesis we're building and that Alex kind of built is that like Steph as a person is also this like singular and very interesting force. And because he's so good at basketball, that gives him this like wide latitude and responsibility. Like, and like LeBron has only ever been that his entire career. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you would think that every time the Lakers lose like 2 games in a row, everyone would just be screaming about like, let GM is at it again, but he's kind of like, it's kind of skated under the radar a little bit.
Yeah. It is funny that like the LeBron commercial, like the main LeBron ad campaign right now is like all the doubters yelling at him, and then him kind of like punctuating it with like, wouldn't you rather this than them say nothing? He's actually kind of living in the situation where it's no longer an interesting argument about if the Lakers could make the finals or if LeBron is still cooking, because it's just like, okay, I guess he's not cooking. Like he is kind of entering this irrelevant zone. And like, so is Steph to some degree. Obviously we're a part of the kind of like the Pacific Coast timeline, Pacific Coast time zone political project, so we think about him. But you know, the endings of these things don't happen like smoothly. Like they're you fade into obscurity, and it's like, oh fuck, you know, and like it's happening.
And like you said about 2022, like the happy ending has already happened,
right?
And I think something that I guess we've kind of talked about this, but it's sort of interesting is like the best players on the best teams are like relatively going to be less better than the worst players on the best teams. That is a crazy way to phrase that. Basically what I'm saying is that like the singular gravity warping effects of superstars, I think is like been diminished over the past few years. And what is like sort of sad about like Steph and KD and LeBron and like Jimmy Butler is that like they are still the same players they were, but like the game has sort of changed around them in a way that like Steph being as good as he isn't going to matter as much because like Brandon Pajemski and like Moses Moody are who they are.
Right.
And it's like they don't have Lou Dort and Isaiah Joe, they have those guys.
Right.
And like that is going to make Shea look like a better player than Steph because like the effect a single player can have, I think, is just smaller now.
Yeah, it's true. And the last thing I'll say about, because there was this period of time where every single Warriors draft pick popped in their role for a second. And it was like the best example that is now like hilarious was like, oh my God, the Warriors got Jordan Bell. Like,
oh, the league is so stupid. Can you believe the Bulls sold a second round pick? Let the Warriors get this demon.
Yeah. And like, you know, he had a few, like he would get in the kind of patented short roll lob situation. He'd get a few insane dunks or whatever. But the reality is that we have drafted a lot of players with limitations, which is what every single team does, especially teams that don't win the fucking championship. Yeah. And when you've got seventh man on Oklahoma City making like one hand fucking corner skip passes, it's like, yeah, we're fucked.
Is Jordan Poole the best Warriors draft pick from the era they were good?
Yeah, I guess,
like given where he was taken to. Yeah,
I the only other would be like Kevon Looney, if you count that.
I do count that, and I was just thinking about Looney because I think he is going to end up with one of the weirdest and most interesting careers like a guy can have. Like, you know, he's sort of incidental to a lot of them being good, but like does have these rings, and like also like I was there for Kings Warriors 2 years ago. He like kind of won them that series by just beating the shit out of Sabonis on his own.
Yeah.
And like even now it's like he's not starting, he's kind of lurking, he's like kind of effective when he's in, but like what a weird guy.
Totally. Getting benched for Trace Jackson Davis, who is shooting the league lowest layup rate in the NBA, which is awesome.
Do you remember Eric Paschall?
Of course. That was another one that was like, wow.
And he was like kind of decent in the gap year they had.
Yeah.
And everyone thought like, oh man, the Warriors are going to reload. And they also have Paschall. And then the second he has to play like meaningful basketball, it's like, get this guy out of here.
Yeah. Dobbs Ferry legend, Eric Paschall.
I also like the first is tragedy, Nico Mannion. Second is farce, Brandon Pajemski, sort of like redhead thing they have going.
Yes.
too.
Yes. It's true. We like, yeah, there's a bunch of kind of strange stuff there. Moving on to, I was going to say something stupid about Nico Mannion's stomach disease he had. Nico Mannion like ate the Lisan Al Gaib juice, but then it killed him. Like he ate it to try to be like, whatever. But it actually, did kill him. And now it plays for the Italian basketball team. What did you think about Hector Banana Bread? Talk to me about your, because I will speak. We were texting about this. I have a little I have a little pet theory I have, but let's first talk about the wholesome components.
I found out about it from you.
Oh, okay.
Because you texted me Hector Banana Bread is a psyop, and then I had to look into this and look, what is this? And you can explain, but basically I can just say what it is, which is like a very popular NBA Reddit post where this woman was like, my 21-year-old boyfriend, who's a Lakers fan, talks about his favorite player, and I want to get him a jersey, but like I only know some sort of scant biological details, not the name. And the name was Hector Banana Bread, which everyone's like, that's probably Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah.
So that while that was happening, you were ruminating. Do you want to explain where you went with this?
Yes. Well, first of all, Hector Banana Bread as a psyop is so funny. That's like that is like truly the ravings of a mad person.
Yeah. When I hear that, I just say, put the fries in the bag.
I need to talk to Joe Biden about Hector, about the Chinese plot on his life via extreme deep state Hector Banana Bread. They're doing zero gravity propulsion jets with Hector Banana Bread. That's for my people who maybe have also consumed this week's TrueAnon episode. They'll probably get that one. Okay. Hector Banana Bread. I just want to say there's been this debate about American superstars. It's been a push all this year. We're talking about, do we have enough American superstars? Who's going to be the next one? Is it possible that much like the deep state sort of left the Democratic Party and has moved sort of to be now backing the more conservative wing of the political apparatus, is it possible that the same thing has happened around this foreign-born versus non-foreign-born athlete debate? Is it possible that the kind of NBA deep state, such that it exists, saw that we were going to lose the American-born NBA superstar debate, and they were like, fine, fuck it. We've got a superstar. We've got an ideal superstar in Victor Wembanyama. He's a freak. He's marketable. He's going to be good forever. He might be the best player of all time in like 3 years.
Yeah.
Let's just throw the political marketing machine behind him. Mm-hmm. And what better way to do that than to make up a 21-year-old Dallas resident whose favorite player is Victor Wembanyama?
Also, Dallas, the site of another famous deeps. They're so lazy, man.
It makes no sense. There is no way that a 21-year-old's favorite player is Victor Wembanyama. Most 21-year-olds heard of Victor Wembanyama 2 years ago. It is just there's Jalen Green is more likely to be a Texas-based famous basketball player. Lamello, Anthony Edwards. Like you're telling me that this guy. How about Austin Reeves? Because you like Atlanta and I'm sorry, you like Alabama, and he played at Alabama. Now he's whatever. Colin Sexton, another Alabama. Whatever.
Oklahoma.
Oh, he played at Oklahoma. Whatever. Still in the South.
Point is,
I believe this entire Reddit post is fake. And it was obviously everybody was going to be like, it's like honeypot. Everybody was going to be like, it's got to be Victor Wembanyama. Young people are obsessed with Victor Wembanyama. This is a hop, skip, and a jump from the I met a liberal coffee shop and they're talking about how much they love fucking Donald Trump.
Well, okay, so did you pay much attention to the Justin Baldoni, Blake Lively thing? Because the most interesting thing about that scandal was basically that like over the early part of the I keep wanting to call the movie Not Like Us, which is so not right, but whatever that movie's called. A key part of like the dialogue around that was this sort of like nascent sense that Lively was like toxic on set.
Uh-huh.
And the way that was distributed was through a couple like cryptic Reddit posts, through like strategic leaks to Dumois, and like through paying TikTokers enough to just make these like sort of vague insinuations where you never had to actually say what you meant, that then was like, it took the form of gossip. So people were like running with this story that like Lively is toxic and is bad on set. And the reasons why it's not being said super loudly or explicitly is because she's trying to defend herself. That like now we see in this big lawsuit she filed against Baldoni was totally an op by this crisis PR firm that Baldoni hired.
Oh, really? I didn't know about that.
They understand that these kind of like funny, viral, like fake seeming Reddit posts like actually do move opinion and like can be meaningful and to like getting people to like believe the thing you want them to believe if you like lead them in subtle enough of a way. And so I don't know what I think about Hector Banana Bread, but like I am sure that there is some level of this like deep kind of like very, very subtle proto-viral marketing like happening around him, because like you said, the incentives to market him are like so obvious. And also we're in like a marketing environment where the old shit just doesn't work.
I was about to say that there, I don't know anything about this Blake Lively thing. I barely know who
I
those
explained
people
it, you know, I
but
did it perfectly.
you did actually. You honestly did explain it well, and I think you're right. What it made me think of was this kind of trickling out of Barstool talent, like leaving, and Grace O'Malley of the this is like you thought it was bad when it was two 30-year-old white guys talking about rap music. Now it's two 30-year-old rats talking about Brianna chicken fry. But the same thing was happening, which is that the media war is no longer fought in like splashy quotes, you know, are mediated through like Vanity Fair or whatever. It's through like extremely subtle references or body language on podcasts. Like I do think that the PR machine is evolving with the times, which makes sense. Like that's like there's a lot of money there for it to evolve. So I brought this up as a joke, but I actually think you're right. And even like this is not new, but there was so much like stupid disinformation and misinformation about the fires on the new X, of just like the fucking like fire trucks are getting turned around because of woke, like, you know, which is so tragic and whatever, but speaks to this in a completely broken media system, there is a lot of room for like highly successful and effective PR campaigns, which is a bummer, but
like,
true.
There's this kind of schizo tendency to call any piece of advertising a psyop,
right?
But I think the actual truth in that is basically like this is like the essential. There's actually a really good Liz Franzak Baffler story, sort of about the deep sort of like applied Freudian psychoanalytics that like relate to the origin of marketing as a practice. But like the thing there is basically that like the less obvious it is, the more basically the trick is to get people to think it's their own idea.
Right.
And like
inception in a proper way.
Yeah. And so like what is going to be more effective? Like putting like an ad for Nutter Butters like in a basketball game, or seeding some viral Reddit post about like having basically someone create some joke about like nutting or something, like that's actually going to get people to think about the thing more often. Like the like Jack in the Box advertises all the time on Kings games, and they've renamed their app the Jack app. And I was thinking, you know, 15 years ago, that would be like, oh, they named it the Jack app. How fucking stupid are they? Like everyone's going to associate with jerking off. And now it's like, surely there was a meeting where someone was like, it's good that we give it this name because then like it's more likely someone will tweet it. And if they're just making jokes about it, like as long as it's getting noticed, the context almost doesn't matter anymore.
God, you know, that actually, one quick thing is like, I was watching this really strange video a long time ago, or a few years, not a long time ago, like maybe 16 months ago, about this really bizarre group called Blimp DAO, which is like they're trying to bring blimps back. It doesn't matter. But the point, the subtext was they were talking about like the kind of weaponizing memes toward PR. And we're seeing this all over, but like basically the idea of planting a meme, which is essentially kind of what we're talking about in the contemporary media landscape. Like this type of inception would likely happen in memes, I suspect. But the other thing it got me thinking about is which we will eventually cover. I just promise the House of Highlights episode is coming. But the in the language and the like totally stupid anodyne House of Highlights posting is like cunning. Like they know it's like rage bait. They know that they're making like that a post with like the dumbest possible thing is going to get a bunch of people to be like, God damn it, I hate House of Highlights. Like I can't stop thinking about House of Highlights. Which is the objective, you know, like and I actually saw an interesting, like a subtle, I'm not ready to call this a vibe shift, but this was the first time I'd ever seen this, where somebody tweeted out, man, somebody's got to turn the Pat Riley quote, maybe I'm washed, into a graphic. And then Bleacher Report was like, here it is, and made the I'm washed graphic. And
also, wasn't the source of that quote someone asking him, like, can you say something to make this, like,
was it?
Maybe I fell for a psyop here, but I thought
could be.
that
It was a
was
Dan
like...
Lebitard show. I could see that.
And honestly, this is I'm now exemplifying all of the things I was just talking about. It was like, I saw like a tweet or two of someone being like,
totally.
Oh, at the end of the Lebitard interview, he said, can you like say something that'll make this go viral? And then he said that basically.
Yeah. And I mean, it's even like the quote has the brackets because it needs to be, it's only funny as a quote that says, maybe I'm washed, which is not even literally what he said. So yeah, we're in post-truth times, but not...
If that's wrong, I'm also doing post-truth marketing for our podcast.
Uh-huh.
And so if you are mad about that, like, make sure you tag both of us.
Make sure you subscribe. 5 stars.
Well, I guess the last sort of thing on this is, like, you are surely aware of, like, this weird, like, people bought, like, the Enron Twitter and are doing this, like, kind of Baroque, stupid crypto scheme. But, like, that would be... It would be like a prank that maybe would work like 3 or 4 years ago, but because marketing is so much more cooked than they're trying to do, like, I think a lot of people correctly recognize as like, our intelligence is being insulted. This is like a weird, stupid, pure marketing op that, like, the nostalgia play here, the everything app based like format it's taking is like, the way in which it is fake is very obvious in a way that it wouldn't have been fake a few years ago.
Totally. I think that's a great point of the it's almost like everybody is, it used to be that the people were, the fun part of a prank like that, of some kind of like trolling, is that you were in on the joke. But now being in on the joke is all there is. That
exactly.
It's like that it's immediate. You are sort of immediately, your guard is up, basically, of like, okay, I'm that this is either I get this or I'm a fucking mark.
And like the reason why like the Wembenyama Reddit app, and like basically why the like Baldoni Lively Reddit stuff is like such an interesting like PR and marketing tactic, is you are creating these perfect jokes for people to be in on, and like you have this, it's almost like it's like a real like strong like, oh, it feels so good to be on the cutting edge, to be like right about something. Like there's a real like lustful feeling of like, oh, I was the smart one here. Like basically they're creating the conditions for you to like gratify your own intelligence, but like in a way that totally plays into it. Like it's just crazy.
Yeah, it's funny. I started this kind of tongue-in-cheekly about this Hector Banana Bread. No, I am like, think we have convinced me that I actually now believe that it was a psyop.
Dude, this is good. I like that we're both making each other crazier, but in a hopefully productive way.
Yes, exactly. Okay, well, we've gone an hour. I was gonna plug a. Actually, I will. You know what? This is nothing but respect after dark. There's an excellent Sean Monahan piece about the end of the avant-garde, which is connected to the stuff that we're talking about, because he's talking about the kind of 2010s avant-garde art universe of which the network effect and the early understanding of the network effect was sort of an essential artistic component. If you want to check that out, you've gotten through us talking about Brianna Chicken Fry and fucking reading rap lyrics. You can get a little like of things 30-year-olds are supposed to be talking about, which is substacks from cultural critics. 5 stars, rate and review. Patrick Redford, writer for Defector, wrote something about the fires recently. What blog did you just finish?
It was about, it's actually something we kind of talked about here. It was about Christie and the Kings, because they've won 7 in a row, but sort of advancing. I mean, all the Kings players basically said it themselves, where they were like, the difference is that we don't run plays anymore. We're just trusted to like know how to play basketball. And so Christie would be like, hey, Malik, you should try to initiate this time. And then they create an advantage and score off that. And like, they just beat the shit out of the Celtics in Boston on Friday. And this piece was sort of about that, but also trying to ask this larger question of like, what does a coach do?
That's interesting.
Yeah, which we can talk about later, but like, we don't need to do more King. We've already had a whole Kings episode.
We've gone long on Kings, yes. But no, that is interesting. And there is that kind of like, actually, my kind of employer. I know this is my kind of employer. Actually, we'll talk about this another time. Fuck you guys.
Little teaser.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if you think we did a bad job, remember that was on purpose.
And
if you're going to
ironic.
complain about us, please get the name right.
Yes, please tag us. Please hit us up on Substack, all that stuff. All right.
Sweet.